The door key on the Unimog is the hoof as opposed to the other one with a different shape. Before you can put the key in the ignition, you need to turn the master kill switch on. And when you turn the kill switch on, that turns on the headlights. That's just the way I got it wired. Then, key in the ignition, on position, but the starter is a separate button. Before you turn it on, clutch in, reset the gas pedal from the last time it was starved of fuel. Main transmission to neutral. Make sure you're in crawler range all the way forward. Make sure that the Johnson bar is forward or reverse, the correct direction. And in neutral, push to start. And you can set the idle with the hand throttle. Feel it. Sounds happy. We go backwards, clutch in, main transmission neutral, Johnson bar to reverse, make sure you're in crawler range, and you go backwards. Only in first or second gear though. Forwards, neutral, clutch in, Johnson bar, forwards, crawler range, highway range, first or second gear. You're going to start in second to go forward. The gear rating is so low, you can skip right over third. You can go straight from second to fifth. So slow you can't pull out in front of anybody. Back to second. Double clutch, 56, but that single was out on second gear. Neutral. Clutch in, push the hand throttle all the way back to idle, and then pull to starve the engine of fuel. And then to park it, there's no emergency brake. Just put it in first gear, crawler range, and probably reverse so that if you accidentally get started backing out, you at least go backwards. And that's how you Unimog. The engine oil, coolant, and transmission level are all checked by removing this inner engine cover, which we'll call the doghouse. The manual calls for this 15W40 oil, but the manual is also really old, and good multi-weight oils didn't exist back then. So the 5W40 Rotella that you can buy at Walmart or on Amazon is probably even better than this stuff. Engine oil is on the passenger side, easily reachable from the driver's seat. And you can see that it's low, but still on the dipstick. So we're going to put some oil in it. Right through this cap on the top. Transmission oil is on the driver's side and is reachable on this dipstick. Transmission oil looks just fine. This was replaced recently. It's Redline brand synthetic gear oil, which is why it's red color. That's not ATF. That's a red dyed manual transmission lube. And lastly, the coolant. it has coolant. The coolant looks okay. You can see coolant sloshing around in there, even though it's hard to check the level. That usually means it's okay. This square key is just for opening the hood. There's one down here at the bottom, after which you can lift the hood up to look at something really quick. But if you're going to be working in here for any length of time, or get tired of holding this, there's a second one at the top. Also, when you're setting this hood down, this tab gets bent easily. So let it down gently. Second one at the top, lefty-loosey. And the whole hood comes off. This reservoir holds power steering and central hydraulic fluid. It has to be checked while running. Ideally, you should see the fluid level in the glass while the truck is on. So I don't have the replaceable paper filter element that sits down inside of the hydraulic fluid reservoir, and I also don't know what fluid was used last. The manual says that you can use either a 30 weight oil or a good quality hydraulic fluid, but not to mix the two. I'm not sure how important that is, but because I don't have either the filter or the correct oil for sure, I think that it's better to wait until the next complete fluid change and then to put hydraulic fluid in it, so that it's known for the future that it's got a full tank of that. The playset comes with everything you see here. Fire extinguisher, not that it's ever been needed in 5 years of use, but you never know, good to have in a truck. A little bit of extra Delvac, though I'd recommend switching to Rotella at next oil change. One spare oil filter. Next oil change shouldn't be needed for a long time because I changed it recently and there's a lot of oil and it doesn't get run very often. So don't worry about that for a while. One extra brake and clutch hose. The clutch hose is totally custom now, one piece front to back. So this is only useful for the brake flex lines. I don't know why I have a spare. I think I bought it for something that I ended up doing different. A couple of spare springs that have something to do with the throttle linkage. And an air filler hose that hooks up directly to the central air regulator over on the side here. And then you can use it for filling tires, including this truck's tires. Has a solar charger and a charge controller that's smart enough to not fry it when the engine cranks over. This is the original throttle pedal, which I've never felt like trying to repair. Pretty big diesel tank. I think it's 20 gallons. This is the bed trapezoid I made to get rid of the big hole in the bed. It has work lights and running lights, but most of them aren't hooked up. Just the headlights, brake lights, turn signals, just the bare minimum are on right now. And sadly the air horns aren't hooked up either. The winch is this braided steel cable. It's got a big recovery chain on the front that's hooked up directly to the frame. The oil filter, should you ever need it, is this giant thing here. It has its own drain plug at the bottom so that it doesn't spill oil all over when you go to change it. So all of you have heard bits and pieces of the story. I think Randy probably knows the most of it. But let's start at the beginning. I've wanted a Unimog since I was a little kid. I don't remember the first time I saw one, but it's been with me for a long time. That these things are like a real life Tonka truck, and they just look cool, and well, I don't know, I think they just look cool.
Is that the tractor?
I would see him every now and then parked someplace. I don't think I ever even saw one in motion except online. It was truck trial videos and stuff. And I would go up, check them out, and climb on, like marvel at how many shift levers they had, and the portal hubs, and just everything about them was so badass. And then every once in a while I'd browse Craigslist and Unimog websites and stuff and see various vintage Unimogs, U1300, 404, 406, 416 double cabs, all these different ones. Some of them would say they needed work, they were falling apart at the seams, some of them would be just way out of my price range. And I found this one Sacramento Craigslist that said it was a runner and ready to drive and street registerable and all that, clean title, you know, didn't look like anything up front, just a little cosmetically rough.
Yeah. And
totally reasonable price. I think they want 10 grand for it or something. Just seemed like
that's cheap. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the right combination of cheap and not totally broken down.
And nearby
That I could go and look at it. So I went and had a look, and the thing was everything I thought it could be without seeing it run. I just agreed, handshake on the spot. Yeah, I'll come back as soon as all the lights and stuff are wired up, like you promised that.
Right.
It'll be street legal when I come back in 2 weeks. And I come back, I got Matt Blecker to give me a ride up there.
And he was like leaving a ski trip, right? Like he dropped you off.
He dropped me off.
Yeah.
And then went to buy his new STI.
That's right.
So he was indisposed the rest of the day.
How did he get that?
He drove his old Legacy GT wagon.
Just trading in?
Had to trade it for an STI. So anyway, he leaves me up there, and I'm like, yeah, everything's gonna be fine. And I wait around for a little while they put the finishing touches on this. The guy who's selling it to me, and then his mechanic Larry, who's good mechanic and everything, but under time pressure to get this piece of junk out the door. And now see in retrospect. So I get in the thing, drive around this cul-de-sac by the roofing company where I bought it from. And it seems like, yeah, you know, it's really slow, but I guess I can deal. And I'm driving it down the highway in the middle of the afternoon, down the big broad street in this industrial neighborhood towards the highway entrance. And just can't get over how slow it is. I think there's no way I'm getting full throttle on this thing, or maybe it's in the wrong gear set. So I keep like trying to get it out of crawler range and trying to give it more throttle. And I'm standing on the throttle so hard that the gas pedal just shears right off. And then immediately the revs drop. And I'm like, oh God, what am I doing? What am I doing? So I beach it up on this median on the side of the road in front of a shipping company. It was fortunately closed that day. And then it's just like up at this awkward angle on the side of a road, 50 miles from home, and my ride is gone.
And the throttle is
and the guy I bought it from was like a few miles back down the road, and they were taking off as soon as I left. So I'm like, oh shit, what have I just done to myself? The reality of my terrible decision was sinking in already. So I'm standing there like poking at it, thinking, yep, it's fucked. I guess I'm gonna call all my friends and ask, please come and rescue me from Sacramento. And then this guy in a really loud pickup truck drives by really slow and looks, and like turns around and drives by and looks again, then parks it, and then runs across the street from where he parked it. I said, what is that? That's so awesome, man, this is the coolest thing ever. He's all excited about it. And it turns out that he's a truck driver who was off that day, like a semi-truck driver, but he's also a mechanic, as any good truck driver probably has to be to keep themselves from getting stranded like I was. So he says, oh, you're in trouble? This thing broke? No problem. I got a workshop in my garage. Just come over and knock on the door if you can't get it figured out. So I poke at it for a minute or two longer and decide, yep, I'm way in over my head here. And go hat in hand and knock on this door. And this guy's name is Josh. And he's one of the...
Like a block away, or a few blocks away or something?
Literally in front of his house.
His house you broke down in front of some shipping company. Like, where is this dude's house? So
across the street the other way.
Oh my God.
Yeah, literally in front of his house on the other side of the street.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is the kind of good luck and karma and stuff that I don't deserve. It happens a lot. The universe comes in to save my ass every time I do something really stupid. I'm thankful for it. Let's just move on from that.
Don't want to curse that one.
Yeah.
Knock on wood.
So I go up, knock on the door, and you get some tools and flashlight and stuff, and we come back and look at it, and this shaft that goes in through this, it's like a bearing, and on one side is the throttle pedal. It actuates in this direction, and it turns on a bell crank down here that activates a rod that has some bearings and stuff that goes around the other side of the engine. So it's a big U-shaped bell crank assembly that then directly actuates a needle valve on the fuel pump.
Right.
Because it's diesel, there's not actually a throttle. I'm calling it a throttle for lack of a better word, but your gas pedal is directly actuating
Fuel pressure.
fuel pressure, yeah. Or fuel flow rate or something like that. So he takes apart the thing that had sheared off and we take a good look at it, take it back in and get a piece of sheet metal and drill a hole in it, burn up a few drill bits in the process, cut off a nut or a bolt to exactly the right length, cut some flats on that bolt and get a pair of vice grips on that really tight around it so it's never coming off, and then tack weld the bolt to the piece of sheet metal and make a replacement pedal assembly and bell crank out of all this crap. So then we take the vice grips back off, feed it through from the side, vice grips back on, feed on like some washers and stuff, and that's the new gas pedal. And it's all hooked up, it's working. I know to be careful with it and not fuck this one up too.
So that's where the vice grips came from.
That's where the vice grips came from on the Unimog.
Fantastic.
So then, by then it's late and we've been there for a while, and he offers to have you stay for dinner. So like, we get some Wendy's or some fast food like that, and watch TV with him and his kids for a while. And it's just like the nicest guy, refuses to take any money or anything like that. Just pay it forward. He says like something like a guy like me, when he needs help, he needs a lot of it. So don't worry about the little stuff. I always wonder.
Yeah. What happened to Josh?
Yeah, he still lives up there. Like I always felt like I should do something nice, but I haven't found myself in that neighborhood in all these years.
And also whether or not he's sitting around telling this story
sure.
about this kid.
I'm sure. Yeah, he got a lot of airplay. A lot of replay value out of this story for his friends. Like this guy had no idea what he was doing. Just wrecked this truck up in front of my house. I couldn't believe it. Like I knew about working on cars and stuff. I've been doing track days for a few years when I did this. This was 2010, 5 years ago. But I was way out of my element with this giant truck, and it's not like I had a welder and angle grinder and stuff with me on the side of the road driving this thing home. What I really should have done, if I was smart, is not buy it. And the next smartest thing I could have done is have it flatbed towed to a Unimog shop and have them go over it before I attempted to drive it all the way home. So anyway, after Wendy's dinner, we waited out until it's like late enough at night that I'm not worried about traffic. And then I set out for home the second time.
Still in Sacramento, basically.
Still on the north end of Sacramento.
We made it like a mile at this point, right?
Yeah, I didn't make it far the first time. So the second time I got a good feeling about it. And I get down the road towards the exit I was going for, get on the highway, and I'm doing like 30 miles an hour tops. So I just
like
I turn
24.
on. I turn on whatever lights I've got, and it's got running lights and it's big and everything. So I know this is way not legal to drive that slow on the interstate.
But it's also like 10 p.m. at night or 11 p.m. and no one's around. Who cares? Yeah,
so I just figure I'm gonna do my best, try and stay out of everyone's way, like.
And not have it take them weeks to get home on surface streets.
Right. That would be impossible. Yeah.
Camp out on the way.
Oh.
So I'm noticing that like there's diesel fumes just leaking up into the cab, something awful, and it's because the exhaust all leaks. Like it's full of holes and it's not clamped together right. Whatever else is wrong with it.
Probably vice grips.
Yeah,
with something. Yeah, there was rust. There was pieces that weren't supposed to go on. It had this big stupid exhaust stack that was off of a real like a semi truck or something. It was way too big a diameter. Super loud. It's deafening in there. It's hot. So it's filling up with fumes, and I roll out on the window, and it's not really helping. So I'm just like holding my head out the window like a dog, and driving it that way. And then there's definitely some exhaust, some coolant steam. Like there's coolant kind of seeping out of everywhere and warming up on the engine, and then like fogging up my windshield.
Oh my god!
The steam. So it's like I have to have my head out the window for two reasons. And then while I'm doing all this, 25 30 miles an hour, windshield fogged up, diesel fumes pouring out of the cab, hanging my head out the window. The CHP comes up alongside me, just like looks at me for a long time, and then just speeds off. Like, what that?
Like, I'm not even gonna touch this.
I think he was deciding, like, if I got anything more important to do than this bullshit right now, the answer is yes, I'm out of here. So I'm carrying on steady state for a while, but like there's a lot of resistance to keep the pedal floored. But I better not go over that resistance, but have to hold a lot of pressure on it still to keep it going 30 miles an hour. And it's starting to make my foot hurt a lot. It's like this really localized pressure on the vice grip, and my shoes aren't boots or anything. It's not like I have a piece of wood or anything I can use to distribute the load. And I'm like switching off, driving with left foot on the gas, right foot on the gas, both feet on the gas.
Yeah.
It's just, it's agony. And every time there's a hill, I can coast down it and be like, oh man, a few seconds of relief, try and get the feeling back in there. There is a hand throttle on this, but I can't figure out how it works. And like I can't.
Or like a lock.
I don't want to pull over and try and mess with the hand throttle in
It
case.
might not get going
Yeah,
again.
in case I can't start it again or something. So like, I'm single track mind. I just gotta get this fucking thing home.
Yeah.
This is the only way. Once I get it home, everything will be better. And I'm going up the Sunol grade, this series of hills. I had never appreciated before how steep and long those hills are until I'm going up them.
Like 10 miles an hour.
Like every time I go back and forth to Thunderhill in the digging, this is back before I was towing, just like zip up and over the things.
Right.
It doesn't even seem like that serious a terrain. Going up them in the Unimog is really serious. Like I'm worried. I've downshifted twice. I'm going like 15 up one of these things in 4th gear. And I'm concerned this thing might stall out and I'll be involved in a massive pileup. So I'm like staying as close to the shoulder as I can, and like every time I see a car come up behind me, I'm like ready to veer off on the shoulder entirely. And then the downhill, this super steep thing. This is a short wheelbase truck with tractor tires of unknown age. It's super sketch. Going down these hills, picking up speed, coasting. Like, do I clutch back in? What exactly do I do?
Do the brakes do anything?
Yeah, the brakes work, but I mean, I wanted to preserve this precious momentum for the next hill. So I'm going down the thing. These giant tractor tires and super high off the ground and short wheelbase and everything conspire to make it feel like it's just about to lose control at any second. And the steering wheel has some awful play in it too. Because it's been hacked up.
Yeah.
I mean, the steering gearbox I think is okay, minus the leaks, but the column inside the cab is not right. So it's scary going downhill, but at least it's not as slow. So I pick up speed where I can almost keep up with traffic, even though you probably shouldn't. That's probably hard in the portal gears and stuff. And then finally it flattens out, and I take the last leg of mission to 880 to 237, where it starts to get into the bay proper. And there on 237, I finally figure out how the hand throttle works, because I'm not terrified to take my hands off the controls. So I'm kind of cruising along, and there, almost home, almost at the finish line, I figure out I could have set the hand throttle the whole time.
Like hours ago.
Yeah.
Your foot must have been relieved.
Yeah, my foot was wrecked by the end of this. And I think I was poisoned from all the fumes. I put my head out the window.
You're feeling lucky. You're feeling lucky.
Is the flange on that bolt cracked?
Nah, it's just
It just has a notch in it?
just a notch.
Are you feeling lucky? That is a good question.
I am now. I was. So lucky.
I'm really impressed by how clean this engine bay is. Your oil dipstick even has the yellow handle on it.
Yours doesn't?
When your base
The yellow handle is usually broken off in most cars.
when your base reference smells like cats.
Yeah, when your base reference is that opalescent turd mobile.
Like,
Opalescent is a compliment for that car. I'll take it.
do you get
Okay.
a credit from like Mountain View City for like cat shelter? And, like,
I should apply for
it
that.
should be tax deductible. I feel like. Is there a talk spec on this?
Torque spec?
Tight.
Tight, yeah.
It's a bolt to the firewall. I can't.
It's
see it.
it's an M8 by 1.25. So
I guess like 25 pound-feet.
Yeah, that's tight.
the
That's not coming off. Put it that way.
canonical torque spec for that bolt is 18 foot-pounds, unless otherwise specified.
At this angle, pulling. Are we talking like metric shit ton? Or are we talking?
No, much less than a metric shit ton. You're aiming for pretty good and tight.
Pretty good in fact.
I mean, you felt it when you popped it open, so.
Well, that was like bolt that had been on there for 160,000 pounds. So like, I don't think torque was the
You make a
limiting
reasonable
factor
argument.
there.
Alright.
No, 18 foot-pounds doesn't feel like a whole lot.
No.
That's the only one I remember off the top of my head because so many things are M8.
Yeah.
I don't remember what M6 or M10, M6 by 1 or M10 by 1.5s are.
Let me get a sub. Doesn't use that size.
Oh, they use every size. I mean, most of them are the most common thread pitch, but there's some stuff like the banjo bolts into the coolant lines. They'll be like M14 by 1.5 instead of something bigger. A really fine thread pitch. And then there'll be stuff like the banjo bolts on the brakes are like M12 by 1, really super fine thread pitch.
Interesting.
The finer the thread pitch, the more torque it can hold. Like
Right. There's more surface area.
Yeah, exactly. So for stuff like the brakes, they want you to be able to apply a fair amount of torque. But then, because it's a banjo bolt, it's hollow in the middle, and you can't apply that much torque, or it just rips in half. So it's, I don't know where that leaves you exactly.
We'll do the oil. Actually, Jerry, if you want to pour the oil without a funnel.
Oh yeah,
For my next
hold my beer and watch this.
Literally hold your beer?
No, I'll set my beer down.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man is true to his word. So Lemon's not using a funnel. That's a budget credit.
No, this has nothing to do with lemons. This is always just my
No one
particularity to not getting dirt in my fresh oil, because funnels with oil in them attract
Yeah.
dirt.
It's actually very remarkable.
See, now you're impressed. You guys
Yeah,
were
I
shit
am.
talking before
I
about
wasn't
that.
shit talking. I
Don't
was
you-
more like
It's all of it, right? It's one.
It's slightly less than 4.
Oh,
so
okay.
I run it and then check it on the dipstick and
the
then put
shit
in
that was
exactly
talked
right.
was actually my inability to do it, not his ability to do it.
No. You weren't saying I couldn't do it. You were saying it wasn't that impressive.
I was saying pouring oil.
So Neil was.
No. Let's be clear. I was saying pouring oil from a jug was not impressive. Pouring oil from a jug and getting it into the engine, that's impressive.
Okay.
Oh,
I
was not expecting to be impressed at all.
No, I was.
You're saving face.
No. I was making fun of myself because I poured oil without a funnel. It just didn't go in the engine.
Yeah, I saw that. It was
I know. So that's what I'm saying. Like I can do that.
Yeah.
I've done it.
So
It wasn't.
I wasn't expecting it to be that fluid and rapid. It was quite impressive actually.
Yeah. Well,
All right.
one second.
Yeah, that's right. Because you didn't take the filter off, it doesn't have to refill the whole
Yeah.
cooler circuit. Well, it doesn't have
Less
to cool
than
it. Doesn't have to fill that circuit, whatever you call it, oil filter circuit.
Yeah, it looks full.
Perfect.
Don't think it's over.
Yeah, if it looks full now and we didn't take the filter off, that's it.
Ship
Just
it.
call it.
Ship it.
So bleeding the clutch after replacing everything, it doesn't bleed. That suggests that the push rod that actuates the plunger on the clutch master is disconnected somehow.
It's on the back of the pedal. Any excuse to use a fire sword.
It's not an excuse. It's a reason to live.
Wow, that is super rusty. But it's connected.
What happens when you push the pedal with your hand? You see it plunging or not?
Yep, it moves. So what we can do is we can pull off the master and see what the rod is doing.
Yeah. Sounds like a good bet.
Oh yeah, so wobbly.
Much wobble.
Yeah.
Yeah, life will never be the same now that you've used the power ratchet.
No, I used this before.
I don't know. I still trust hand tools more.
That's nice.
I have this.
Come on, Thumbelina. Work with me here.
Yeah, that's doing what it's supposed to do.
Really?
Yeah, totally.
Well, let's give it some resistance. Yeah, that is not going.
No?
No, it's going exactly like it's supposed to, which
Yeah.
makes this... The mystery deepens.
Alright, well let's try that again.
Alright, go for it, Sunil.
I have no resistance here.
Well, you shouldn't have resistance when the bleed screw is open.
I know I said bleed screw at the other end.
Yeah.
No, that's not open.
Oh.
I have no resistance.
I thought you meant that this. I mean that the line's not secured. Is
Well,
what
it should be
you're
shooting
asking.
that fluid from there then.
Oh, yeah, it should.
Yes.
So I got nothing. Also,
Oh, no, I can hear it.
You can hear it?
Yeah. Okay. There's a little bit of air coming out of it.
Oh, good.
I don't know if that means anything, though. I got an idea. Why don't I put the pressure bleeder on this to force the fluid down from the top?
Do you have a pressure bleeder cap for that?
No, but I can just hold it with my hand. It's got an internal rubber gasket. Alright, so the trick was to get the pressure bleeder on it. We were just saying earlier tonight how the pressure bleeder wasn't normally useful, but we still have it around just in case something comes up. And this is exactly the kind of thing I couldn't think of specifically, but where it came in handy.
Tastes like day.
Oh, the important part isn't that it has a loop in it, it's that it goes straight up from the bleed screw.
Yeah, it did that. Was like this before with no loop.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, that's how it was before.
That's good. Slow down between pumps, I think. Give the air some time to work its way up. Oh, there's some more big bubbles. That's odd, the way they come up through this end. I would expect them to get trapped somewhere in the middle since this isn't the highest point of the system. Yeah, I'm okay with that plan. I mean, you can always just drive it, and if it doesn't feel right, we'll come in, we'll bleed it some more.
Yeah. But the thing is, if the clutch is disengaging, then it's better than where it was. We're at.
Well, like I said, I just made it really easy.
No, Andrew makes it really simple. Like, we don't want tacos again, so that's out. Alright. Okay. So sushi or pho, those are our choices.
Or
I
steak.
like sushi over pho. But it's like a Saturday night, so like this is an investment in time. Sushi. What I mean is that like sushi's gonna take time. Yes. I know it's not your motor, but I think Andrew might have other opinions. Because like he probably wasn't done this calendar day. Well, that's not gonna happen anyway. So.
Well, you know, I work until
I know you work crazy hours.
2 or whatever.
I'm just gonna be here until past midnight. You'll be fine.
I'll stay here to make sure Andrew doesn't drop anything heavy on himself.
That's a good thing.
That actually looks like a pretty comfortable vantage point.
It's really hot up here. All the heat rises up to these high ceilings.
What about the brake cleaner? Does that rise? What? Does the brake cleaner rise?
The heat carries it right up to me.
You've got the perfect huffing position.
Yeah.
So the stuff that the EPA is spending millions to clean up, you can buy cans of by the case and then spray them all over the place in your shop.
Perfect. So like all that hard work that Google does to prevent exposure to the rest of us, we just invalidate it in like 5 minutes. I actually like their tools. Good. Alright, let's get going for food. You guys are fish. Let's do it. I mean, I don't disagree. It's just a submission. Well, actually, 9 might just be late enough. We don't have to wait a lot. But I mean, I don't know. I still want to
I'll walk in and they'll be like, yes, we have a table for you all the way in the back.
Yeah. All by
Around the
yourself.
corner by the bathroom.
Well, we'll start rolling over and save you a spot, Randy.
Oh yeah, I'm just gonna clean myself. That's all.
Oh, okay.
I'm trying to like clean up the shop too, cause like I'm done.
Are you coming back afterwards to try and finish this?
Yep, that's the plan.
Yeah, Andrew, I'll be here late.
Cool.
Make sure that you don't injure yourself.
Install if we have the thing to rotate the engine on
Oh,
the
a load rotor. We do.
No, Matt's friend took his back.
Oh,
That wasn't the shop's. But I approximated it with a ratchet strap.
right.
And
It worked
then
shockingly well.
you
Yeah, that's
could-
pretty cool.
Like while watching, that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, so I'm not sure it's worth $700 for the fancy rotation tool, and the $5 ratchet strap seems to do a pretty good job.
Coilover plug on the orange car. Let's do it.
Once I get the Mega Squirt working, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'd almost rather just go for the LS coils, because there's no need for coilover plug. Like that's not necessarily an advantage over just like nice hot igniters.
Yeah, it gets rid of spark plug wires and it gets rid of stuff behind the engine that makes it harder to work.
I don't think that's actually like an advantage. I don't think that's a power advantage.
No, it's not a power advantage. It's a
Wires, yeah.
Yeah, that's
maintainability advantage because the coil packs on the Miata are right behind the engine where a bunch of other stuff is. Stuff like the.
I'd rather like look up the state of like aftermarket coils, and like I think once the Mega Squirt is working, I think the Corvette coils are going to be like the right answer. I really do.
Alternating current coilover plug.
Oh man.
You don't know how much you need it until you've heard it's a thing.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
I'm eventually just gonna swap a Saab engine into an Exocet.
That'll work. I recommend.
I've had octopus and stuff before, but I feel terrible about eating anything that smart and that
Yeah.
Yeah, did you see the octopus that would use
Rubik's Cube?
coconut?
Oh no.
Well, your coconut had like washed into the water, and it had figured out that it could use its tentacles to like pick up the coconut, and it could hide itself in it. So it would come out, and it would scurry along, and then it would like retract into the coconut,
Nice.
sort of like the Metal Gear Solid, like.
See, I was
Hiding
looking
a
for that
box.
crap, and you went straight to Metal Gear Solid. Okay.
Yeah, octopi, cuttlefish, nautilus, and squid. Those things are all really, really smart and have actual personalities. So I feel pretty bad about eating those. But sea urchin is dumb as hell, and there's billions of them. Like you can't go to the beach without seeing them all over the place eating all the
Right.
kelp. So I don't feel too bad about eating those. I think that the world has enough.
Thanks, Jerrit. Now I can't enjoy octopus anymore.
They're super smart.
I
Yeah.
know they're super smart. I just never thought about it.
It's like eating dogs or children.
They're
That escalated.
Wow.
Really high. That was. Okay, went from octopus to dog.
delicious dogs and children.
It's a very modest proposal.
Well, Jonathan Swift didn't mention octopus probably because they don't have too many of them up there around England.
So, the braking procedure for my engine from Hague was run the oil for 4 hours, and then change it to whatever I usually do. I put T6 in.
Yeah, the Rotella?
I put T6 in everything,
Interesting.
but he gave me the braking oil. It was already in the car when I got it.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
standardized on T6 a long time ago, even though it's not exactly what's specified for a lot of these motors, because it's close enough and it's easier to have a lot of one thing in the
Yeah.
company store.
I mean, it's clean enough, right? T6 is diesel oil, so they're very careful about the additives.
Yeah, it's just really good for anything with high heat. The diesel additives and the 40 weight are both good for a track car.
Yeah.
So Hague suggested the Mobile 110
For braking or just
just to run.
it's oil?
I don't know. What's his name?
1040 or 1030?
1030. I know Dave Wheeler did a dyno shootout where he ran a bunch of different oils. I don't know how it was controlled for in terms of variances in the dynoing, but he was saying that there was like a several horsepower difference from the lowest horsepower oil to the highest.
Yeah, that
Like,
makes sense.
like 3 or
Something that
4
has a really
horsepower.
low viscosity at operating temperature is going to give you more power.
He
Possibly
said the one that did the highest weight oil was just super thin, and it was so thin he didn't think it was worth risking an expensive race motor. He said it's like, he's like, it was stuff designed for like NASCAR qualifying or something. It's not really for running a car for any more than a few minutes. But he said that was what actually produced the most power.
Yeah, it's not surprising. Same thing with gear oils and same thing with bearing grease. I think there's a trade-off between the amount, its ability to protect all the moving metal parts, and its how much power is lost in the process. About to play Miatas of Hanoi, apparently.
Yes, so this motor has the lift points on them. The new motor does not have that hardware. So we only have hardware for one engine stand.
We have a second engine stand, but we don't have the hardware to bolt a Miata's bell housing to it.
So I propose a Miata of Hanoi game
Hardware, please.
where we put this engine in the corner, move the lift points onto the new engine,
That was super
put the
effective.
new engine into the car, move the lift points back to the original engine, and lift
Hi, I
use
have
the
a
current
I'm
hardware
looking
on
for a
that
bolt that's a little hard to find. Do you
engine
have an
stand
M19
to
bolt?
hold this motor.
Any chance you'd know where I can look?
Thank you.